Oh, David.
Hi, David.
Hey, what's going on? We made it.
We made it. I'm not quite up on everything yet, so I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay. I'm just gonna relax. So what am I looking for here? Damn.
Anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Perfect.
We're almost on time.
Just reminding you what you say is headed out there in TV world.
Get that. I want this button here. There we go.
I think we're just waiting for Josh, David.
You have for anybody that's home watching, and it looks like we have 18 attendees. Bear with us. We're waiting for an additional selectman to get logged on.
That is great. not me.
Sorry, that was me.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, Josh.
Hey, Josh.
Hi there.
Welcome, everyone in attendance. Apologies for the late start, 7:08, and it is the 21st of September, the last day of summer. And before we get started, I would just like everyone to have a moment of silence for David Barrows, who, sorry, was a trusted friend and a real steward for the town of Lincolnville, and he will be missed. Thank you all very much. I feel like no moment of silence could possibly do the man justice, but hopefully we'll all carry him in our hearts as we move forward doing the town business. And our hearts go out to his family and friends. Before we get going, Curran, would you read the quote of the evening?
A fallen leaf is nothing more than a summer's wave goodbye. Unknown.
Thank you very much. And do we have anyone for the Citizens Forum, David?
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I get that message and then I remember. We didn't have anything submitted via email when I had checked, and we have 24 attendees. And let me just scroll down if there's any attendee wishing to say something, if they could send us a chat or put your hand up, that would be appreciated. Otherwise, I would say they all look like they're people that are tuned in for an agenda item.
Okay. Well, if there is no one for any non-agenda items for the Citizen Forum, let's move along to the administrator's report, please.
Sorry about that. Couple of things. For anybody that's out there that wishes to vote via absentee ballot, we have the applications available now. The ballots come to us from the state of Maine. They are required by law to have them here at least 30 days in advance. We will accept your application now. We'll do the behind the scenes processing, so we're ready to go to mail those out when they arrive. Or if you want to wait till 30 days prior and come in, we can take care of that request here at the town office. The easiest way and most helpful, not that it ought to be easy and most helpful for staff, but is if you go online to the state's website or through the town's website and fill out the online absentee ballot request. That gets you into the system and generates a good portion of what we need to enter into the system to begin with, and will help us expedite the process. And just a reminder to anyone, absentee ballots must be returned by no later than 8 p.m. on election day, which is November 3rd. We have commenced with the stockpiling of winter sand, although it's still summer for another couple hours. That is underway. We still have not had a final date yet for our paving contract. for to arrive and to do the work, but the weather still has a little bit of time with us. And hopefully they'll arrive sooner rather than later. Outside of that, I think all the other items need the board's attention are on the agenda.
Okay, thank you very much, David. Any questions for David on any of the administrator report items? Okay, thank you very much. Let's move along to upcoming meetings and announcements.
All meetings are remote unless announced otherwise. The Lakes and Ponds Committee meets tomorrow, Tuesday, September 22nd at 7 p.m. Broadband Committee meets Thursday, September 24th at 7 p.m. And the Board of Selectmen meet next 1 week from tonight, September 28th at 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. Are there any upcoming community events anyone knows of or wishes to share? Seeing nothing. Everyone has their updated agenda in front of them. It is with our great sorrow that we have to have a conversation about establishing a special town meeting and election date for the Board of Selectmen vacancy. David, would you care to elaborate on that?
Certainly. Quite obvious at this point, we have a vacancy on the Board of Selectmen. The town charter requires that if there is more than 5 months prior to the next annual town meeting, that the Board of Selectmen shall call a special election to fill the unexpired term. There's obviously more than 5 months till next June when the next annual town meeting will occur. So that there is a necessity for the board to call an election. At that point, we have some overlapping timelines where the state statute sets forth certain requirements for nominations and elections in timeframes, and our town charter also allows certain timeframes. So we've put together a suggested timeframe, which would be holding the special election on Tuesday, December 15th. And that nomination papers would be available starting next Monday, September 28th, and would need to be returned by Thursday, November 5th. And candidates would still need to have at least 25, but no more than 100 registered voters of the town sign nomination papers.
Does anyone have any questions for David on this? Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion.
I move pursuant to 30-A MRS Section 2528(4)E to shorten the time period for availability of nomination papers and the due date of nomination papers for candidates for Board of Selectmen for the December 15th, 2020 special election, as shown on the attached notice of availability of nomination papers.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Motion passes. So all those watching out there in TV land, this is now and there ever shall be opportunities for you to serve your community, whether it's on the select board or any of our wonderful committees or commissions. We next have the set of meeting minutes from August 24th.
I move that the board approve the August 24th, 2020 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, to see a couple of things you might want to address. One is on line 180. Where it talks about approving a bond. We might want to mention that it was main voters. Because it kind of looks like it might have been all the voters.
Sorry, which line, Mike?
Line 80.
80, okay.
Oh, 80.
I heard 180.
I
I'm
did-
sorry.
Me too.
80.
I'm sorry, line 80, where it says, can you remind the board that voters in July approved 50 million bond issues? You just might want to insert main voters so people don't get the impression that it was just Lincolnville voters who approved $15 million.
Would it be more appropriate to say state bond issue?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Fair enough. Good catch. What was the other item?
Well, the other catch, if it is that on line 171, we have Josh Garrettson being voting on adjourning a meeting.
Ah,
And I don't remember you there, Josh. You were
Me
hiding.
neither.
They did get the motion carried 4-0 though.
Yeah, okay.
Dealership,
Whoever took those minutes apparently used cut and paste, yeah.
our minute taker is going to have to get reprimanded. So do you care to amend the motion?
So moved.
And Josh?
Yep.
And seconded.
Seconded.
So we have an amended motion that has been seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
Seeing no further discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Motion passes. And next before us, David, would you care to introduce this next agenda item?
Sure. The next agenda item is a request from Richie Osgood to be considered as a qualified mooring inspector. As the board may know, the harbor ordinance sets forth that a list of qualified inspectors is typically submitted by the harbor master after consultation with the harbor committee to the selectmen for review and approval no later than the second Friday in November. And then the board reviews that and revises it as they deem appropriate by no later than December 31st of each year. And then that sets in motion the requests that go out with the mooring renewals and for new people to have moorings inspected. I was contacted by Richie Osgood, who has set forth a letter to the board requesting that he be considered for inclusion on that list. And I don't know if he's here. Got too many people signed in, so I'm going to scroll down and see if I can find him. Yep, he is. And if it's okay with the board, I'll bring him over to speak with you.
Sounds great.
Nope. Hang on. He's on his way.
I'm here.
Do we have him? Oh, hello, welcome.
It's my first time on Zoom, so if I screw up, I'm sorry.
It's weird the first, don't worry. Welcome very much. You have the floor, sir.
Okay, well, I guess it's pretty straightforward, just asking to be added to the list. I was actually asked by a mooring holder to help them with their mooring and look at it. And I said, well, I guess I'll pass, but just got me thinking that's probably time to get on the list, as I have two moorings myself. So between my rental and my commercial mooring, and I have in the past helped people with their moorings. So I guess it's just time to make it official.
Does the board have any questions for Richie? I'm I'm not seeing anyone jumping up and down. Your email was very thoughtful, well put, I thought. And so I'm sure, as you know, Richie, that the process is that this will go onto the harbor committee, and the harbor master will send us a comprehensive list here in a couple of months. And so if the board doesn't have any questions for you, I will entertain a motion.
I move that Mr. Osgood's name and credentials be forwarded to the harbor master and the harbor committee for their consideration for inclusion on their recommended list of qualified mooring inspectors for the year 2021.
So
Second,
moved.
I second.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Ray. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes,
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes,
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Motion passes. Thank you very much for popping in here, Richie.
All righty, thank you for having me. And I just wanted to mention that I used to work with Dave at Rankin's back in the 90s. So, and I know he's done a lot for the town. So it's good to remember him. I worked with a lot of people at Rankin's that are no longer with us. And it's a shame, but just wanted everybody to know I was thinking of him as I did work with him in the past. So
Thank you for that.
thank you
Thank you,
very much.
Richie.
have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.
thanks.
Moving along, we don't have any information before us, but we understand that the Lincolnville Historical Society is here somewhere, hovering in the Zoom sphere, and want to address the board.
I will find them. There's Rosie list. And Diane. Yes, Diane. It should be on their way.
Well, when you get over here, just say hello, so we know that you're live.
I'm here.
Diane.
Hi, Diane.
Hi,
Hey,
Diane, welcome.
Hello, Diane.
thank you.
Diane, are we just getting you at first, or are we getting the two of you?
I can talk. I don't know. Is Rosie going to come on?
Rosie will have to unmute himself, and if you turn your camera on, he will be able to see you.
Isn't my camera on?
oh.
Oh,
Not yet.
where's my camera? Oh, here we go. There we go.
There's
Yay,
Diane.
here you are.
Hi.
Hi, Diane.
Hello.
Rosie's
I'm here.
voice should be here.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh,
Hi,
yeah.
Rosie.
How are you?
I can start.
Yes, please.
Okay. The Historical Society would like to acquire the beach schoolhouse. After the July vote to sell the building was approved, we found out there is actually strong support in town to preserve it. So in collaboration with the LIA, in early August, we called a meeting at Breezemere for anyone interested in the building. 60 people came, and most signed up to help. We had formed a small steering committee. Andy Young agreed to be clerk of the works, finding contractors and overseeing the necessary repairs. Fundraising and grant writing committees are ready to start work as soon as we have a commitment from the town to sell us the building. With an agreement to sell, we can begin planning in earnest, formulating a budget and repair schedule, and establishing a base of funding for going forward. And including, we hope, the town's long-established annual support for our organizations.
Okay.
That's it.
Any questions for Diane immediately?
So you're, First of all, thank you, Diane. It's nice to know that there is going to be some support for something going on down there. So you're not with the LIA presenting to
This
us.
is the Historical Society is the organization that would be buying the building.
Okay,
acquiring the
so the LIA currently holds a lease on that, so we'll have to go through the proper channels to get through that. Obviously it's going to be, it'll take us a little bit to do that. We've got to approach them and probably we'll have you back to talk to you about that. I'm not so sure, but I appreciate you coming to the board and letting us know your intentions. That's great. So I'm not sure we can do anything tonight, but it's good to know that there is an intention to take that over.
Well, and what we're looking for is, are you willing to do this? Because we really can't do anything until we know that the town is behind it.
Well, I think to Kern's point, and I'll back it up even further than the current leaseholder that we have the lease with, is that because the voters approved our ability to sell the building, the select board actually hasn't taken any action yet to definitively do anything with the building. So we'd have to back it up. And what I would say is on our next agenda, which is a week from now, to actually have that as a point of discussion first, that the board entertain or not a motion to decide to dispose of the building. And then that will set in motion all of the other pieces that are necessary to make it happen.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
But it's really great to hear both that you had an enthusiastic response from the community. I mean, that's so encouraging on many levels for the Historical Society.
Absolutely. And we are working with the LIA. And we're all in this together, but it will be our building, the Historical Society.
Okay. Do any other board members have questions for Diane? Does Rosie want to get on here and say anything?
No,
Or is he
I
just,
think Diane said everything.
whoa, Lordy, you figured out how to use
Really?
the computer. So nothing to add there, Rosie?
Nothing,
Okay.
nothing really. Nope.
Well, then what I would suggest is that we agree to have this on a future agenda item, our next agenda, which David and I will be having a chat in 2 days about that. And that you find folks come to that meeting also.
Good.
And we will have a conversation about what our options are as a board and hopefully come out of that conversation with the definitive direction that we're moving in.
So that'll be next week, next Monday night.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
absolutely. Thank you both very much.
Thanks for
Yeah.
coming.
Have a great evening.
Thanks.
And moving along, the next agenda item was requested by Selectman Ray. Selectman Ray, would you care to introduce this?
Oh, well, this
Item.
is very simply, I think the board, we talked earlier, or it came up that it might be a good idea if there was a cordwood pantry, as it were, that the town, for the people in town, if they needed any firewood, they could come get some firewood. And if the town were to provide that service somehow. I talked with some people who already do that countywide, the Waldo County Woodshed. And they're interested in using maybe some town-owned property in Lincolnville as a depot where people could pick up firewood. And they would, the person, Bob McGregor, is going to explain how they do it. But basically, it sounds as if, well, I'll let Dave bring Bob over and he can explain it.
Yeah, hang on, everybody.
Oh,
Oh,
David, this is like high traffic control for you tonight.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
sorry to put all this on you, Dave.
no, that's all right. He should be on his way. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
I'm here. Can you see me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you yet, Bob.
Well, that's interesting because I had the camera on, but hang on a minute. Start video. There we are.
There you
There you
go.
are.
Let me get back. to
Hello
this.
and welcome.
Thank you. Are you all familiar with what we do and how we do it, or should I start at the beginning?
Please begin at the beginning.
We're set up, we give out a quarter of a cord at a time to anybody that asks for help. We have no formal application process. We're a small group of volunteers, and we decided at the beginning 6 years ago that we didn't want to be picking and choosing who we were going to help because we just don't have the time or the qualifications for that. So it's all on the honor system. We start up about the 1st of November, and people can call in. We have one person that handles all of the calls and the scheduling and so on. People can call as often as once a week, and she will send them to the appropriate location. We have, well, Lincolnville, if we set up in Lincolnville, I think that'd be our 10th pickup spot that we use. All of the wood it starts in Searsmont, and we distribute it from there to keep all the other sites stocked. And all of the sites are run by volunteers. So they are open whenever the volunteers want to set a schedule. We try to do it once a week at whatever site it is. Most of them are on Saturday mornings because it's convenient, but we can usually find somebody some wood within a matter of days if it's a real crisis. But the only real rules are that we do ask that they call ahead every week so we know who's coming and we know how much wood we're going to need at that site. Some weekends we give out 20 cords of wood. 80 different people will show up at these different sites. So it's and I have a sense that this winter might be a little more difficult than the last few ones, but I'm not sure. We have about 150 cords of wood on hand right now for this year, most of which is already split. It's all seasoned, but most of it is already a split. And we've started stocking some of the sites to get ready for it. So when Mike emailed me about it, we just thought, if you don't want to duplicate our efforts, we're happy to, work with the town. And we need a location that is, I won't say secure, but has a little bit of oversight. Several of them are at transfer stations. Some of them are at people's yards. One or two of them are fairly unattended, but we haven't had a lot of theft. Whenever we do, you've probably read about it in the paper, but it's not very often. We can, if there's no covered space available, we can usually, we have the funds. If we can get some people together, we can build a shed to keep the wood under. We parcel it out in quarter cord baskets ahead of time, so when people show up, it's ready to go. And then the volunteers, we just ask them to refill the baskets from the stock there. And we try to encourage our clients or recipients to also volunteer to at least refill a basket when they empty it. If that's the least they can do. Some people aren't physically able to, but it helps us if they will do that for us. And we're always looking also for volunteers at each one of these sites to be available once a week on their own schedule. So if you're going to do something down there, it would help if you could at least help get the word out that we're looking for, one or two people or two or three people to rotate through, or however they want to set it up. So, that's the very basic description of what we do. We go, like I said, we're going to start about the 1st of November, and we go till the wood runs out, which the last 2 years has been about the 1st of March, which is obviously still the middle of winter, but we go till we can't go any further.
Thank you for that.
Yep. And we're funded. We're funded entirely by donations and grants. So we spend the money we take in on wood and on our operations. There are no paid staff or anything. So we buy as much wood as we can every year. Start fundraising right about now for the next season, for a year out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, questions for Bob?
I do have one question. Thank you, Bob, for
Yep.
chiming in there and attending our meeting. Thank you very much. Well, how big a building are you looking for storage?
Well, the ones that we put up are only about, 10 by 16 or so, just a basic wood, a shed roof, 3-sided shed.
Okay.
So it can be one of those tent structure, like a portable garage. It can be an empty bay in someone else's barn. It doesn't matter. Just, somewhere we can store. It's nice if we can store 2 or 3 cords at a time, and we restock every few weeks as needed. But it doesn't have to be anything over the top, just to keep the wood out of the weather and be fairly accessible, for people to drive in and get their wood, obviously.
Okay.
And we do have a couple of towns we have, well, in Northport, I guess, where we're on town property, we do have insurance that we provide to them. We add them to our insurance. So if the town required that, we can do that also. That's the one concern they had.
Thank you for this program. It's so great. I feel embarrassed that I wasn't aware of it before, but Mike brought it up, and it's great.
Yeah, this will be our 6th winter, so we've been around.
That's great. Would this be a benefit to you having an additional site, or would it stretch your volunteer base?
Well, yes to both of those. Like I said, when we use the different sites, we do ask that, like at the Northport transfer station, for instance, each site is not limited to that town's residents. We have someone there staffing it when they come in, but it's more convenience for the people that are coming. We might send, so right now we might send people from Lincolnville to Northport or to Searsmont or somewhere. So that's the one thing we ask of a town, if it's on their property, is that we let, other citizens come in as needed. We get I have the numbers somewhere, but we get a fair number of people from Lincolnville over the course of the winter. But having another location just kind of helps us. The idea is to reduce the travel for the people that need the wood. And if we try it for a year or two and it turns out it's not a real benefit, we could revisit it. But let me say this: not having one doesn't impact Lincolnville, because Lincolnville residents are welcome to call and ask for help. So it's more, if you want to have something closer to home for them, we can try to work with you, see how it goes. And we're not limited to Waldo County either. It was in our name, but we now have a site in Warren at the transfer station, because we get a fair number of people from down that way too.
Okay.
So yes, it would be a benefit, and it might stretch the volunteer base. If you folks want to try it locally, we're happy to work with you to see how it goes.
Okay. Other questions for Bob?
Well, Bob, have you run across any problems with working with towns in terms of somebody getting hurt? Town-owned property, theft, anything like that we need to know about?
No, the only two, I guess, that are on municipal property are Northport at the transfer station, and in Belfast we have a small shed at one of the parks that we can use, and we provide them both with insurance, but we haven't had any issues with it. Northport's nice because it's locked up, it's behind the gate. But we haven't had any issues yet. Fingers crossed. The wood processing is all done in Searsmont, so at the distribution sites, it's not quite as intense activity.
Sure.
And just to confirm, people don't get wood unless one of your representatives is there, one of your volunteers is there to help them with that. It's not a carte blanche. Okay.
Right. They need to call, and we have issues with that now and then with new people, and we just explain to them that they just need to call when they need it, and they'll be scheduled to go to wherever. So they should not show up when it's not their time to show up, or when it's not open, or whatever it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. And that hasn't really been a problem, other than a couple of small thefts over the years. But people going and taking it, people that we give wood to, most of them come every week, maybe every 2 weeks, and they've been coming for several years, and they know the routine, and runs pretty smoothly. So
Any other questions for Bob right now?
No.
David, do we have Peter on the line too? I'd be curious to get some feedback from him. Peter Rollins is our emergency management director.
I don't see Peter unless he's using some name that I don't recognize, which is completely possible. Pete, if you're there, put your hand up or hit the chat button if you would and send us a chat. I still don't see him.
I've just heard some sirens and things of that nature, so maybe we've got a call here in town. Maybe he is not there.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me also say, just, if this doesn't, if we wind up not doing it, I think David has some information at the town office, or you have in the past anyway, where, we can send some brochures or whatever, just, so if people do call and need help, they're welcome to call us.
Okay.
We certainly have some contact information. Right now, we don't have anything out
Right.
in the vestibule or the public areas because we've been instructed not to.
Got it.
But certainly we have the number.
Yep.
Well, fantastic. Bob, we really appreciate you popping in here.
Not a problem, and I appreciate the interest, and just let me know, what you want to do.
We absolutely will. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, Bob.
Mike, did you have anything further on this, or does the board have any follow-up thoughts?
Well, I tend to think it's a good idea, so people in town wouldn't have to go as far or feel, especially drive in winter. And if there's a source closer, I think it just works out well. However, we'd have to work out a good place to put it. And so it doesn't, let's say we were to propose a sand shed, that it could be too crowded there. I have no idea. I don't know how much traffic it's going to generate. We'd have to work all that out.
Well, it sounds like the nature of the site is relatively flexible. I'd be curious to hear when our emergency management director is available, if he has input on site location. So, maybe we just kind of keep this conversation alive, and the next time it pops up, we can continue it in terms of what seems like a viable option for location.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, David?
I was just going to suggest maybe Mike and I could get together with Bernard and or Pete to go over and see if 10 by 16 is not a big, particularly large area. And we could flesh out some of this with Bob, and I can do a little legwork with what the folks from Belfast and Northport have done in terms of crossing T's and dotting I's, and then come report back to the board. We found a spot. Here's where it ought to be, and here's what ought to occur or could occur.
Yeah, in concept, I think what they're doing currently is fantastic. But always my mind goes to, if we build a shed, who's going to pay to maintain it? Is it good, access, safety, all of those things. So if there's a site that seems logical and is straightforward for us to facilitate, then I think it's worthwhile. What's the other thought from the other board members of David taking some time to flesh this conversation out a little bit?
I think it's a good idea. I don't see any harm in at least doing some research and looking at the salt sand area and figuring out if there is a sensible place to put the 10 by 16 foot shed.
My thought about the salt sand area, the way it's currently set up or cleared, is there's a fair amount of activity on a daily basis over there, some times of year more than others. I would be timid to add something without some research over there. just because of the liability standpoint of that. I was also kind of taken back that he reported that there's a fair amount of Lincolnville people that reap the benefits of this program. The town of Lincolnville has some resources from people who care, from past taxpayers who really care about the town of Lincolnville and its people. And I'm a little surprised that we at the town level don't know of the need. I don't know what the number of fair amount means, but in my mind, that means more than a couple, I would think. So that kind of concerns me a little bit, and I'm wondering why we aren't helping these people. Just my own thoughts.
Yeah, it's another conversation, but yeah, for sure. That's a good point as well. Yeah, I mean, I certainly, while the gravel yard salt sand shed seems obvious, I wonder what the other opportunities are in town. If there's a corner somewhere that is secure, safe, maybe less traffic, I don't know. But David, is a general nodding of the heads of looking into it and seeing if it's an idea that makes sense for us okay for you, or do you need a motion?
Whatever works for the board. I'm okay with a nodding of the head, because whatever we come up with has to come back.
Yep.
For approval or denial, or however you want to.
Yep.
Consider that. And.
Yep.
I do want to say one thing that he mentioned that was heartening to me is that Lincolnville residents are already taking advantage of the program. So adding a woodshed here wouldn't, that wouldn't, we don't need that to make the wood from the Waller County woodshed available. They have a set amount of wood they donate every year. Adding our own structure doesn't change that. So at the very least, if we take no action, Lincolnville residents can still keep using it.
Right. It doesn't change the inherent critical mass of the service that they're offering. Yeah. Yep. Okay, everyone. Thank you. If there's nothing further on that, let's move along to the continued conversation regarding the broadband committee. Josh, you were away, and we had a presentation regarding some of the numbers that were coming back. And we dipped our toe into a conversation about direct mailer for the survey. So I'd be curious to know from you, Josh, what conversations have arisen in that elapsed time, and then David Kinney, I'd hand it over to you to talk a little bit more about mailer options.
So we have had 219 responses, I just checked so far, and the committee is eager to get mailers out to the town so we get a more representative sample of people who aren't on the Google group, who aren't on Facebook. So we just really open up the survey to more people. What we're hoping is once that's been sent out, to have at least 2 to 3 weeks of time to elapse for people to fill them out and send them back. And then we would input those into the survey, and then with a little more time, I think the committee would be ready to issue their report to the select board.
Okay. Questions for Josh immediately, or?
No, I
Current?
just have a, is it obvious? I just have a comment. I know when the your representative did the presentation to us, it was I feel obvious that we were getting responses from people, more responses from people that had internet service and it was just, I don't think we were getting the right people. We want to hear from the people who are struggling.
Mhm.
And I think probably the longer it goes on, the more you're going to get to a certain point. The mailer, I think, is going to reach the people who don't necessarily have internet or don't have good internet or whatever. I think we need to look at that. Although I'm not sure we're budgeted for that. There's a good possibility that that's the way you're going to reach, without going door to door, of everybody in the town of Lincolnville, which I don't think is the right thing to do. But I think that's the only way you're going to get the answers that you really need to get,
Mhm.
or something of that nature. Just my personal opinion. This is tough to get the answers from the people that actually really need it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and also my concern with my initial concern with the survey, and my concern still with the survey is are we asking the questions to get the answers that we need? And when we look back at the original charge from the select board, what is the goal that we are in pursuit of, and does the mailer accomplish that, either in utilizing taxpayers' dollars to fund it, well, regardless, using taxpayers' dollars to fund it, but whether we go with the service or we go with town office staff printing and stuffing envelopes. Is it getting us further to our goal that we gave to the committee initially? And I'm not convinced.
Okay.
Did I hear a noise? David, do you want to speak a little bit on the mailing options?
Well, I can speak on the two options that I looked at, which was trying to get it to basically all the addresses in Lincolnville. One was using the everyday direct mail through the postal service. And the drawback with that is that some of 04849, which comes out of the Lincolnville Post Office, goes into Northport, obviously. So you end up with more things being mailed out that aren't going to Lincoln, that wouldn't be going to Lincolnville residents. The other would be to using some sort of extract from our town tax database, which obviously would go to Lincolnville property owners, and that the latter being more expensive just because of mailing and postage costs. The third option, which isn't in here, listening to what particularly lately was just talking about, would be to try to be a hybrid of the town database, which would be to, I know the committee's got some pretty good ideas of where broadband is available now and where it isn't. We might be able to work within the tax maps to identify the unserved, underserved, and do a targeted mailing directly to those, which is something I hadn't thought about. Might not be, it wouldn't be a saturation mailing. You wouldn't get everybody, and that's kind of it depends on what your goals are in terms of obtaining data back. But the everyday direct mail, is roughly $650. And the saturation mail to taxpayers, which again doesn't get everybody because of like renters, but that would be closer to $1,350, just primarily because of the postage. And none of it, which unfortunately do we have money sitting in a budget for right now, and I guess contingency would be your only option. We did fund a little bit additional in contingency this year, but again, once we spend it, it's gone.
So I would just say, I think it's money well spent in this COVID era we're in right now. I think it is well justified to draw $600 something from contingency. I think doing the every door makes the most sense. We have it in the beginning of the survey that you need to fill out. Are you a resident of Lincolnville? If you are not, please do not fill out the survey. Then we ask for their mailing address. So I think that would weed out anyone that is in Northport from filling out the survey. I also think that right now we don't really have a representative survey. It's people that have access to the internet and the places that we've posted it. And if the goal is to have a more representative sample, the best way is, to send it to everyone, and just hope that we get a lot of responses back. If we don't do that, then we're left with the 219 responses that some of you feel is skewed, and then at that point, what was the point of doing the survey, right? So that's where I'm at.
So my question to the board is, because part of this agenda item is to review the charge, and my concern in the conversations leading up to today is that there may be verging on mission creep, where the charge from the select board is to one, seek confirmation that the board's goal is 100% access, explore the options for broadband access to underserved areas, and so on and so forth. And so my concern is that the focus, and I say this based on applicants that have come to the board to be on the committee, and that the centralized focus seemed to be municipal broadband. Now, that wasn't the charge from the committee, was to pursue municipal broadband. The pursuit is to get access to our citizens. And so I'm concerned that there is not enough focus going into the state approved bond issue that is imminent. The funds are imminently available, and that we're not making the moves as a municipality to immediately connect the underserved populations of our town with whatever means are available. That we're too focused on a much longer term pursuit.
So I would challenge that, because the $15 million bond, that those monies can be used for a variety of things. One of them is hiring a consultant to understand what the options are for Lincolnville. And the ninth charge is make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen as to what course of action the committee believes is in the best interest of the town as a whole. The committee so far, I mean, I wouldn't view the committee as a municipal broadband proponent. We haven't had that discussion. We're looking at it. We're looking at all the possible options. But what we want to do is issue a report that fills the 9 charges without saying, the town should do this, but these are the options. This is how we think the town could best serve the underserved areas of our community.
Fair enough. I'm going to push back again, though, and say, what is the committee? There's almost 2 conversations that have to happen, right? There's that long-term planning piece, as you said, to fulfill the more specific elements of the 9 charges. But are we looking at, and are we being active in addressing opportunities that are currently available now, like the short term as well as the long term?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that'll be in the report, certainly, how to address that short term, that efficiency main grant, and how to go after that as fast as possible.
Sure. Okay. And so given the fact that that charge was from December of 2019, and the charge expired in June, the real conversation that we have to have is, one, do we want to keep the charge the same? And two, what is the deadline? Because being an ad hoc committee, we can't leave in indefinite. So hopefully you have an idea of what you can propose to the board in terms of what a realistic deadline is to have a return on these action items.
Yeah, so my ask of the board is that we have the mailer, we get 2 to 3 weeks with the mailer out in the wild. We get a week or two to bring it back. I mean, we've already talked a lot about the charges and the report, and so those discussions have already begun. And so let me just bring up the calendar, because we certainly want to get the report done sooner than later as well. We don't want to keep going. I mean, let's say theoretically we could send a mailer out next week. Okay, so that would be the 28th. I mean, the Board of Selectmen, the October 26th Board of Selectmen meeting, I would think that would be enough time to get results, have write a report and present it at that meeting.
Do you feel like that's putting yourself under the gun a little too much? Like, to get the survey results back and then look at all. Yeah, I want this to be an honest assessment. I don't want you to feel like you're going to have to rush and perhaps.
Yeah, well, you know what? To that point, we're having a broadband meeting this Thursday, and since we're already having a selectman meeting next week, why don't I talk with the broadband committee, and then we'll have a formal request for when we would like to issue the report and wrap up our work.
How does that sound to the other board members?
That sounds fine. I just don't want you to be aggressive because you feel like you're under the gun.
Okay.
And don't have time to consider what you actually get back for information.
Okay.
That's my only concern with that, Josh. But
Yeah.
if you think that's doable, that's great. But just want it to be comprehensive.
Yeah. Well, it definitely sounds doable. I mean, the more time for the committee, the more time we have to perhaps give a more polished presentation and more nuanced options to the board. But I'm not so sure that that's what's necessary. I think we just need enough time to lay out, bang, bang, bang. These are the options. This is the response that we got from the community. And these are how these things fit the charge. An extra week certainly wouldn't hurt to do that. But if you guys are happy with us coming back next Monday with a date certain to propose, we'd be more than happy to work that way too.
Okay, thank you for that. Then I would like to get a definitive answer from the board in terms of what the board wishes to do with this mailer for the survey.
So I'm thinking as we're talking about this, and I think we need to reach that type of person through the mailer. I don't see any other way to do it other than what are the thoughts of these people, not all of them, but we've got a significant amount of people that have got children in the school system. Is there a way to target that type of townsperson through something to go home with each kid? Maybe that's not the right way to look at this, but I know when my kid brought stuff home, we looked at everything. So, you're going to get a significant amount of the people who have kids in the school, and let's face it, they need the connectivity for the kids to go to school. And isn't that what we're doing here? We want to make sure we have that available.
Well, we certainly have some out-of-towners going to school, but that's a really great suggestion, Kern. David, do you know if that would be appropriate for us to, I don't know, who would we ask? The school committee?
You did, David.
There's,
Every time I mute myself, I then get asked to talk. We could start with the principle of, and the ask, if that was something that you folks thought was appropriate. I'm not sure how much paper they're sending home. You know, a lot of things now, even with the school, are electronic with the newsletters, but
But even
on
for a
the
link,
same token, I filled out a fair amount of paperwork the first week for my fine daughter who's over here in Lincolnville Central School, so it's doable.
I mean, not to take away from the mailer conversation, but Josh, wouldn't you agree that doubling down on coverage, you know, if it missed a member of the school, either through the Google groups or our website, perhaps this is another access point for a family.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that if we could do both, that would be the best.
Yeah,
I
so-
wouldn't want to just do that instead of the mailer.
Of course. Yeah, because
But both would be great.
while it definitely, you know, families with children for sure, but it's not just about families with children. Yeah. So Kern, while you were in the hot seat, what are your thoughts in terms of which option for mailers?
I'd like to see us do it at the town office. I know everybody's busy, but
It's so much more expensive though.
okay.
well, if I can say, the committee's we talked about this, the broadband committee has talked about this, and to a person, everyone has volunteered to do the culling, as it were. If we were to do an EDM, including Northport mailing, we would, you know, we would go through those and separate out the ones with Northport addresses. And so we've got that covered.
Well, that's not really so much the issue. David, correct me if I'm wrong. If we were to use town office resources to go through our database to select, it's not even that, it's the postage, printing, folding, stuffing, envelopes, labor that would cost approximately twice as much as using the direct mailer, which I'm guessing has just inherent efficiencies at their system.
Right.
Yeah, the every door or every day or whatever it's called, the EDDM system, you pick the routes that you want it to go, and then you provide them with the right number of copies all folded, ready to go to those routes. And it's not, they don't provide you the addresses, you just give them, you know, thing that says, you know, post office box holder or whatever it says on it. And you give them 650 for this route and 324 for that route, and away they go. It isn't so much, you know, that you actually get addresses for Northport or Lincolnville. And there is obviously the efficiency of the lower postage. It's really inexpensive to do that way. And then we don't end up with the, you know, the envelopes. You basically get a sheet of paper that's folded as, you know, postal customer, and then has a fancy little seal up in the corner, and away it goes. If you want to do a, for lack of a better word, saturation mailing, I'd suggest that you do the EDDM, and just, if some go to Northport, some go to Northport. And like Josh said, either the first question or one of the first questions is, you know, what's your address? And if it comes back and it says, I live on, you know, Beach Hill Road in Northport, that goes in the Northport file and just gets no further. If it comes back and it says, you know, 548 Slab City Road, then that goes in the Lincolnville file and gets entered into the system. It's relatively quick, relatively easy, relatively inexpensive, and gets to everybody, whether they're a property owner or a renter. Just gets to everybody. Now, whether or not they choose to respond, who knows, but at least they have a chance.
So through a general nod of heads, I'm hearing, yes, we want to get the survey out through a mailer.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I just think for the cost and the efficiency, if we hit a couple extra people, I mean, although I would hate to think of paper being wasted, but it seems like both the most efficient use of dollars that we didn't appropriate for it, and in accomplishing our goal.
Well, I'd rather spend 650 than 13.
Me too.
David, do you want a motion for this, or?
Just, I think if you're ready to do the mailer, that it would be good to have a motion saying that you wanted to do the send out the broadband survey using the EDDM thing and program through the post office, and the expenses to come from contingency, and we'll all get going on it.
Would someone please make that motion?
So moved.
Yes.
Come on, let's make
I move that we proceed with a everyday direct mail mailer for the Lincolnville Broadband Committee survey, and that the monies, which are it'll cost approximately $650, will come from the contingency. Okay.
Second.
So moved. Do we have a second?
I did that.
Whoa, well seconded. So moved by Selectman Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Ray. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. And so to your previous point, Josh, let's put on our next agenda to have you come back with a clear deadline, so then we can revise and approve the revised charge to the
Great.
committee.
Okay, sounds
Right?
good.
Fabulous. Thank you all very much. And in that vein, we have some community interest forms before us. And do we have the applicants here?
Some of them, yes. They go. The Hardys have now disappeared.
Oh, okay.
Stephen Coltay, I hopefully didn't butcher his name too bad, is available, and Cheryl Nevius is available as well.
Well, I don't,
Oh, Jane Hardy is on, sorry.
let's bring the Hardys over,
Okay,
or a Hardy.
well, chances are they're together. Hang on now.
We'll probably get them both.
We'll find out momentarily.
Okay, we should be in.
Yep.
Hey,
Welcome.
You made it.
Thank you. Thank you very much for popping in here to our meeting. Does the board have any questions for the Hardys?
No.
The Hardys, do you wish to address the board at all?
We both are interested in community history. We knew that there was a vacancy both for a regular member and an alternate. Steve would be the regular member and I would be the non-voting alternate. And we think that there's some ways that we can help if we're a trustee on the cemetery committee.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank
you. If there's no further questions, I'll entertain a first motion, please.
I move to appoint Stephen Hardy to the Cemetery Trustees as a regular member with a term expiring June 2023.
So moved.
second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you very much. And I will entertain a second motion.
I move to appoint Jane Hardy to the Cemetery Trustees as an alternate member with a term expiring June 2021.
So
Second.
moved. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Moved by Selectman Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Late. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes,
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Thank you both very much for your volunteering.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening, both of you.
You too.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
And then we very patiently have the two applicants that were interested in the broadband committee, and we tabled those appointments pending the previous conversation. So we appreciate those individuals' patience and also the additional information provided to us. Thank you very much for that. And David, I'm assuming you're bringing them over.
Would you like them both at the same time or?
What's the board's pleasure?
Sure.
You're
Yeah,
both,
same time.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on, here comes Cheryl. See her name. And there's Stephen. Stephen should be on its way as well.
There he is.
Great.
Okay.
Welcome, Cheryl and Stephen.
Yeah. Hello,
Hi, Stephen. Hi, Cheryl.
hi there.
Does the board have questions for our applicants?
I have one. Stephen, my name is Kern Late. How do I pronounce your name?
You're muted, Stephen.
Muted, Steve.
It's cold tie.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
very much.
Any other questions for our applicants?
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the interest, both of you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Do either of you wish to address the board?
I just would like to say that I have had some personal and professional experience working with Lincolnville, I guess, telephone, LCI, and also a lot of interest in just seeing that the community gets some type of high-speed internet that's affordable.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would just say that I'm very much involved in this issue on a national level. I am actually attending the National Community Broadband Conference. That's a nationwide conference that begins tomorrow through the 24th, both as a panelist and a participant. And I've offered, well, I will be doing a minute of that meeting, which I'm going to forward to our committee. It's the largest nationwide conference on community broadband so far ever in America. And obviously, community broadband is a hot topic everywhere. I work at MIT, and I also am a non-resident senior fellow at a think tank in Washington, D.C. called the Brookings Institution. And the Brookings Institution has several sections, several verticals. One of them is the one that I'm in, which is governance. And within that, there is a governance and technology program that I'm particularly involved in. So I'm very, very interested in this, in the subject of improving community access to the internet, which I do consider to be the single most important infrastructure issue in America today. So I'm quite devoted to this, and frankly, as a Lincolnville resident now full time, and having just gone through the process of trying to get fiber myself in my own home so I can teach my classes at MIT, which I've been successful in doing. at a cost of about $3,000 for the 670 feet from my house to Route 235. I just feel that not everyone is going to be able to do that or want to do that. And since internet connectivity is going to become one of the, if not the single most important competitive differentiators among communities like ours, it's going to be important for us to be able to provide what I hope will be something similar to what other local Maine communities like Islesboro, most nearby, has been able to provide to its citizens, which is $30 a month, 1 gigabyte symmetrical uplink and downlink internet connectivity. The only other comment I just want to make, because I've been listening to the meeting with great interest all evening, is two things. One is that the Island Institute. I'm sorry.
Or I think your speakers are doing something.
I only have one speaker on. The Island Institute has a grant program, as you may know, for small community broadband, which requires at least 50% of the population of a town to have responded to a survey. So I think the fact that that you decided earlier in the meeting to do the mailer is really great and really important. I would also say that several other Maine towns, Chebeague Island most recently, also did what I guess it was Selectman Late suggested about the school notices. They sent notices. I'm not sure if they were electronic or written or physical, because there was a view that school children were at the top of the list of priority for people to have connectivity. So both of the things you discussed today are front and center relevant and would be necessary for us in Lincolnville, not only to do the work, but frankly also to apply for some of the money that would be available to help us pay for this ongoing study. We're looking at a long haul process here, no matter how you look at it, and being able to tap into Connect ME as well as the Island Institute money, I think will be really important.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that input. And Cheryl, both you and Stephen, for your applications to get involved. Very appreciated. Any further questions for Cheryl or Stephen?
No.
Thank you both for hopping on here. If there's no questions in either direction, I will entertain a motion, please.
Move to appoint Stephen Coltai and Cheryl Nevius to the Broadband Committee with the terms expiring in June 2021.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what is your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, motion passes. Welcome very much to the committee and thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
See you both Thursday. Thank you.
Thanks.
And moving rapidly along, we have some outstanding municipal official appointments. Let's move through these one at a time and I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the board appoint David Kinney to the position of Marine Harbor Master with a term ending June 30th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by, motion by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Ray. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. I'll entertain a next motion, please.
I move that the board appoint Gary Neville to the position of Deputy Marine Harbor Master with the term ending June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes?
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. I will entertain a third motion, please.
I move that the board appoint Justin Twitchell to the position of Inland Harbor Master with the term ending June 30th, 2021.
Moved by
Second.
Selectman Late and seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes?
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. I will entertain a fourth motion, please.
I move that the board appoint Peter Rollins to the position of Emergency Management Director with a term ending June 30th, 2021.
Moved by Selectman Late,
Second.
seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes?
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. And a final, fifth and final motion, please.
I move that the board appoint Don Fullington III to the position of Fire Chief with a term ending June 30th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, motion passes. Thank you all very much. Moving along, we have to set some public hearings here. David, do you want to give a little preamble at all about this?
Sure. Town meeting has given the board the authority to make determinations about winter road closings. Traditionally, we have closed a portion of the Martin Corner Road to winter maintenance from, I think it's 187. I don't have that paperwork in front of me, through to the end at Moody Mountain Road. The road is fairly challenging to get through it even in the best of times, but certainly in winter that doesn't work. And then the other that the board may want to consider is the end of the Morton Road. We've had some discussions, we being the road commissioner and I, with the gentleman that owns the farm or the farmhouse at the end of the Morton Road, about possibly discontinuing the road or discontinuing winter maintenance. And if we're going to discontinue winter maintenance, you need to have a hearing first. So we've suggested that that also be part of the public hearing, and then a decision be made regarding that issue after the public hearing. And the other is the general assistance ordinance needs to have a public hearing regarding the changes to the appendices of that ordinance. And in all likelihood, we may also need to update the ordinance itself. And the general assistance ordinance is one ordinance that the selectmen, or one of several that the selectmen can actually adopt or amend without town meeting vote.
Excellent. And I just noticed that I skipped agenda item number 14. So with this board's pleasure, let's go ahead with 15 and then we'll get back to 14.
Okay.
So if there's no discussion or questions, I will entertain a first motion, please.
I move that the board conduct a public hearing regarding winter road closings at 6:30 p.m. on September 24th, 2020.
Second,
Moved by Selectman Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Late. Yes, David.
One of the things that transpired from the last meeting that was postponed till tonight is we were also talking about the board holding a listening session regarding the park property or the potential park property, and doing that at 6. We might want to also list these for 6 o'clock as well, even though the draft had them at 6:30, so we could just flow right one into the other.
Yes.
That's your
Yeah.
pleasure. Sorry about that.
No, that's a great suggestion. That way we're not playing that weird game of starting a conversation and stopping the conversation. So would you care to amend that to 6 p.m.?
Yeah, sure.
And Kern, second it? Okay.
Yep.
Any further discussion? If no further discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Thank you very much. And I will entertain a second motion for the general assistance ordinance.
I move that the board conduct a public hearing regarding the general assistance ordinance maximums at 6 p.m. on September 24th, 2020.
Second,
Moved by Selectman Ray, seconded by Selectman Late. Is there discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Thank you very much. And seeing as how I skipped agenda item number 14, we will need a motion to act on agenda item number 14.
I move that we suspend our meeting as the Board of Selectmen and that we convene as the Board of Assessors.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Ray. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. We are now convened as the Board of Assessors. Do we have Vern with us?
We do not.
Okay. Does the board wish to have any further explanation on the adjustments, abatements rather, that Vern has recommended that we make?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, well, I will entertain a first motion, please.
I move that the board grant abatement number 2020-01 to Andrews Brewing Company in the tax amount of $160.16 for personal property as the business has closed.
Second,
Moved by Selectman Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Late. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Motion for the abatement passes. I will entertain a second motion.
I move that the board grant abatement number 2020-02 to Eleanor and Michael Weaver in the amount of $566.72 to correct an error in the building assessment.
Second,
Moved by Selectman Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Late. Is there discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. The motion for that abatement passes. I will entertain a third motion for abatement.
I move that the board grant abatement number 2020-03 to Nicholas and Patricia Pope in the tax amount of $659.12 to correct an error in the land assessment.
Second,
Moved by Selectman Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Late. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Motion for the abatement passes. And in order to get along with the rest of our business, I need a final motion to enter back into session as selectmen.
I move that we adjourn our meeting as the Board of Assessors and reconvene as the Board of Selectmen.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. The motion passes. And Selectman Garrettson, do you have any updates for us under Selectmen Updates?
I just wanted to quickly point out, I think we set the public hearings for September 24th, but I think we meant September 28th.
Did we?
Because in the newsletter,
Oh,
it says
we meant-
24th, and
Because the meeting notes.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back and can I please just have the motion all over again? We're gonna jump back to agenda item number 15 and not set a public hearing for a day where none of us will be attending a meeting.
So these are for the 28th, correct?
yes.
At our next board meeting, yes.
All right, I'll start since I did the first one. I move that the board conduct a public hearing regarding winter road closings at 6:30 PM on September 28th, 2020.
Second.
We
Moved
want
by
that at
Selectman
6 o'clock.
Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Ray. Would you amend that to 6 PM?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'll turn that to 6 PM.
And will you second
Yes.
that amendment?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm assuming there's no discussion. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Thank you very much. And the second motion, please.
I'll try this again. I move that the board conduct a public hearing regarding the general assistance ordinance maximums at 6 PM on September 28th, 2020.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Ray, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what is your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Now we have correctly and appropriately made the motion. Thank you very much, Josh, for catching that.
Welcome.
It would have been problematic. Okay, back to Selectmen Updates. Do you have any other updates for us, Josh?
At this current time, I do not.
Okay, excellent. And Selectman Late, do you have any updates for us?
The only update that I have is the Midcoast Solid Waste Board of Directors meeting for this month been canceled. Obviously, out of respect for the passing of our select board member and Midcoast Solid Waste Board member David Barrows. We will resume our regularly monthly scheduled meeting next month. Also our committee member meetings, and until we as a town are able to decide which direction we're moving in, I will try to take over the responsibilities that Selectman Barrows had, and I'll do the best that I can, although it will be nothing like him.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Selectman Ray, do you have any updates for us?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. And I have no updates. We have the treasurer and payroll warrants to approve and sign.
I move that the board approve the treasurers and payroll warrants.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. The motion passes. Does the board have any additional business to attend to? Not seeing anything, I will entertain a final motion, please.
I move that we adjourn.
Who wants that one?
He can have it.
Take it.
Who wants to second? Okay, moved, moved by Selectman Ray, seconded by Selectman Late. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. The motion passes. We are officially adjourned. Thank you very much for your commitment of time tonight.
Thank you.
If you have your, anybody has the opportunity to pass by the town office, please come sign some stuff.
Okay, yeah, and reminder, it's a quick turnaround on the old packet, so
Yeah.
dropping those off will be helpful
I'll
as
see you
well.
tomorrow.
Yep.
Sounds
Thank
good.
Thank
you
you.
all.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.